Well, I'm normally the scariest person on set when I'm in all the makeup, so I don't tend to get scared. Everyone else tends to get scared. But I mean, it was for Potter maybe being on the hydraulic broomstick system. So I don't know if you've seen it at all. I don't know if it's in like the making of documentaries on the DVDs or whatever. But the broomstick flying system is about 30 foot high up in the air. You know, you start on, you climb up a little ladder and you get on it, and they have these little bucket seats that you sort of sit in and you strap yourself in, and then the costume will go over the top of the bucket seat so you can't see it, so it looks like you're sitting on the broom, and then it will just rise up into the air, and then they turn on the wind machines, and then they start off. It's like being on like a buckaroo kind of horse, but not as violent. You know, those bulls, that kind of thing, and they'll do it to the side, and they'll sharp turns to the right and up and down and that kind of thing. So the first time I got on that, I'm not very good with heights, and that was a little bit nerve-wracking the very first time. But then as soon as it finished, I was like, well, it's great, let's do it again, let's go, you know. So that's probably the scary thing. But on Captain America, there wasn't really anything too scary. You know, everyone was great on that, and it was very technical, the Captain America stuff, particularly the stuff I was doing. So yeah, that wasn't very scary at all.
I don't like heights either, so I was just picturing that like, no, couldn't.
Right, right. I mean, even though it wasn't too high up, but you're in like a big, you know, the big studio where it's just green screen all around you, so it's very sort of sparse. And you know, while you're up there, and I'm looking down, and your legs are just hanging off on this little broomstick, and you're looking down, going, "This is a little bit scary," but it was great fun. So, I could never be a full-on stuntman. I could never do like the, you know, jumping off buildings and all that kind of stuff. No way, that's not for me.
So my second question is probably around the same thing, but what's the craziest thing you've ever had to do as a double?
Craziest thing. Not so much crazy, but one of the most toughest things I have to do. There was a scene in Order of the Phoenix, and it's Harry Potter and who's the other guy? Is it Dudley? You know, at the start of the movie, where they're running away from the Dementors.
Yeah.
Remember that? They're running through the field. There's a couple of shots, aerial shots, that they needed with some doubles. So we spent the day sort of outside running, and we'd run across that field, and they'd have a rain machine going. Now, for rain to register on film, the drops have to be like really big for you to be able to see them. So obviously, when those things hit you at some speed, you know, it can be a little bit. Yeah, it can hurt a little bit. And also when you're running as well. So I think I spent like 8 or 9 hours running up and down with these like raindrops just, you know, hitting you and pounding you. And then by the end, and then after about 8 hours, you get to the end, and Daniel turns up and he looks at the footage, and he's like, okay, all right, Paul, how you doing? I'm like, all right, mate. And then he'll just do it once or twice and he's done. And we'll go, all right, guys, see you later. You know, after we've been doing it all day and that, which is quite funny. But yeah, so that was, what was the question?
The craziest thing.
Crazy. Yeah, that's a little bit crazy. Yeah, I couldn't walk the next day. You know, those sort of things on a daily basis, you'll sort of go in and have to do these sort of things. Like one day it'll be the broomstick and you're flying around. The next day it'll be running. But then the following day you might be sitting around not really doing much at all. Or there's that scene with Gary Oldman and Creature, you know, when they're inside the house.
Yeah.
I think on that scene, when you see Creature, that's me, my body that they're actually using as part of the visual effect shot. And so I spent maybe, I don't know, 12 to 15 hours sort of just standing there while they, you know, did the effects. So that was a kind of dull day. But when you actually see it on the screen, you know, it's kind of cool seeing it with Creature in there. But when I was doing it, obviously there was nothing there, so it was just standing. So yeah, every day differs really.
That's it sounds like a very kind of diverse area of work.
It is, and also it was a very long time ago now. I mean, Daniel was 17 when I first started doing it, and I was early 30s or something. I can't remember what year it came out now. Was it 2007, something like that?
Yeah. 2007.
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't really talked about it much since then, so I don't remember too much. So I'm trying to rack my brains to come up with what happened. You know, I haven't really.
That's really cool. my last question before I hand you over to Laurent is, what was your favourite moment in making Captain America?
I think just being there and seeing,
So Laurent
well,
is
meeting Chris first of all, you know, in the pre-production stuff, and meeting the director Joe Johnson, you know, who I loved. I loved his film The Rocketeer, you know, which he did, which was one of my favourites. So when I heard he was directing Captain America, I thought, oh, this is great. So getting to meet him and, you know, work with him and Chris, and the effects that people were. There were some people who worked for Industrial Light and Magic, you know, obviously did the Star Wars movies. So all these people that I sort of grew up watching the movies and loving the movies, and being able to work with them was just amazing for me. And obviously seeing Captain America, you know, that was great.
Yeah.
That was great, seeing it all come to life. And yeah, because I'm a big fan, just like everybody else. So when I'm on these sets, I just try and enjoy it as much as I can, and just try not to take it for granted, you know, and just realise that I'm very lucky, in a very lucky position to be able to, you know, be asked to do these movies.
Yeah, that's so I'm going to hand you over to Laurent. He's got a few questions for you.
Okay, lovely.
All right.
Hey, LeBron, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. One of my first questions for you, Paul, is what's it like for you watching films after having been a part of making them? Like, is the thrill still there, particularly the ones that you've been
That's a
involved
good question. Yeah, that's a very good question. Um, not, no, not really. It's kind of ruined it. It's kind of ruined it. I mean, acting as well. Seeing the process of it, and the methods, and then watching people on screen. If you're an actor, you try and get lost in it like you did when you were younger, you know, or when you weren't an actor. But it's very, very hard sometimes to switch off from the technical aspects. So what I'll normally do is, if there's a film I really want to see, you know, I'll go and watch it one time, and you know, I'll look at it for its technical aspects, like the cinematography or the acting, or you know, the effects, or that kind of stuff. And then I'll go and watch it again and try and lose myself in it. And most of the time I do, because I've got it out of my system the first time. But yeah, you do, once you've looked behind the mirror, there is no really going back. It's very hard to unsee it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Bit of a shame, really. I do miss that about it. And sometimes, you know, with friends or family, they'll be watching films, and the way they experience it, I can see how they're experiencing it, and it's completely different. And I envy it sometimes. You know, I just think, oh, just to be in that, be able to, you know, let go in that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, my next question for you, I think this might be my last. I'm not sure. What was the process of preparing yourself for the role of being a zombie for a film like World War Z?
Yeah, because obviously, you know, zombies don't exist. I mean, the production had a very specific idea of what they wanted the zombies to be. At first, they were going to go with slow zombies, and then halfway through, someone, I don't know who, sort of decided, no, we don't want slow, we want fast. And it was like, we want slow and fast. So I think what ended up in the film happening was, it starts off fast, and then as it gradually, time goes on, they start slowing down, you know, which I thought was kind of cool. And obviously the Russian scene that was removed showed a little bit more of that, where you could actually see they went from being like 28 days later zombies to you know, like Night of the Living Dead kind of zombies, where they'd really gone to a crawl and they were dying off. And I thought that was a really cool concept, which I don't know if it comes across as much in the new version, as much as I did really like it. But sort of preparing for it, well, they got me in to do because there's a lot of CGI in it. They got me to do the CGI movement. So there's quite a few sequences in the film where you'll see them running or jumping, or just the way they move, that they wanted me for reference for. They had an idea of they're sort of fast and phonetic, but at the same time they've got like a cerebral palsy kind of disfigurements. So I did a lot of that preparing. So the only way I really prepared for it was just to make sure I was physically and to perform what they wanted me to do. You know, the positions they needed, and the runs and the walks and all that kind of stuff. But as for a mindset, I don't know. Everyone could be a zombie, can't they? You know, it's pretty straightforward. Just want to eat brains.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for answering that, and I think that's all
okay.
I have for you now.
Lovely.
I think I'm going to hand you over to Rory.
All right, lovely. Thank you.
I'm back. I think that's the biggest break I've ever had from talking on the podcast.
Oh, the biggest what?
Biggest break, because usually there's only about 2 or 3 hosts here. This is the first time
Right.
we've had 4, so
Right. Have a
I've
cup of
had a
tea?
lot. Yeah, I could have had one at that time. Yeah. So
Well,
and then,
once you get me talking about this stuff as well, I'll start geeking out just like everyone. So you got to stop me.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, we're now taking call-ins. If anyone has any questions for Paul or wants to leave any questions in the live chat, yeah, I think we have covered quite a lot there. So yeah, a lot of stuff there. Some very interesting stuff like I was just listening to most of what you're saying, and I am still in shock about the 8 or 9 hours running. The Harry and Dudley scene, and then
Yeah.
Daniel only having to do it once or
Yeah.
twice, and he's got it.
That kind of sucked. I mean, we had a laugh about it, and he laughed about it, and and he's a lovely guy. He really is. He's one of the sweetest people I've ever met, and so down to earth, and has never been jaded or corrupted by this this Hollywood system, and still remains just a really nice guy. And so he's sort of funny side. I mean, I weren't laughing the next day, but at the time it was pretty funny.
Yeah. We do have a question for you from Christian Wolf Jones, who asks, what, in your opinion, is the best zombie movie ever made?
The best zombie movie ever made. Dawn of the Dead, the original one, the Romero, I think is the best one ever made. I don't know if it's my favourite, but I think it's the best. It's the best zombie movie. It's got everything. My favourite would probably be Night of the Living Dead. The one that kind of really started that whole fad off. I just love the look of it, anything about it.
Very nice, yeah. So I think that's all of our questions for you, Paul. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
That was good fun. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, hopefully we can talk to you again at some point.
Yeah, maybe when Guardians comes out, I'll come back.
Definitely, yeah. So talk to you
then.
another time then. Bye.
All right, guys. See ya. Bye.
Yeah, so make sure to check out our YouTube channels. The podcast is www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/separatist destroyers. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/Lizzie11. Delon's is www.youtube.com/user/StarLegend9595. Check out Graham's fanfictions, www.wattpad.com/user/Graham. Check out Paul Warren's website, www.paulwarren.co.uk. And check out Channel 1 on Gate, where he broadcasts live from www.channel1ongate.com. So,